Everyone, and welcome to my episode review of My Hero Academia Season 5, Episode 3, Clash, Class A versus Class B. The name gives it away at all. So pretty much we just left off with uh, Deku waking up in the middle of his bed, breaking the glass. It quickly wakes up Yuya, Naval Laser, God amongst men, and Naval Laser's like, wow, man, you probably have some problems. And Deku's like, nope, nothing wrong here, just break glass in my sleep. And he's like, oh, okay, you need more cheese then. I guess from like the little connection they had before in last season. And he's pretty much just remembering the predecessors. He goes to All Might, and he's like, yo, All Might, check it. All these people were in my dream. I don't know what's going on. All Might's like, you know what? I spoke to my predecessor. She told me she thought feelings equal power, so that's what I thought it was. And honestly, you spoke to the first owner. No one else has done that. You might be the first. All Might concedes. He's like, I don't know. And Deku all of a sudden is like, maybe it's the quirk singularity doomsday theory, where once a quirk gets too powerful, it gets too strong to control, and, I guess it leads to the death of the owner and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, that's great and all, Deku, that you now figured this out. You've had this piece of information. You could have said it while he's like, singularity. He must be talking about the quirk singularity. I mean, I guess he just thought about it, but still, it would have been nice to just not need All Might for that. Whatever. And, we have a little talk, and it pretty much ends in, your predecessor. She was pretty cute. And All Might's like, yeah, man. Hell yeah. And I guess All Might and Deku are into her, sure. There were two people actually blurred out. One of them was probably All Might, and they pretty much assumed because he's alive. The other one we didn't get too much notes into. And Deku is walking around, and then he sees Shinso, who is the dude that whenever you answer a question from 1B, you pretty much become stuck in following the orders that he says. And Deku thinks about it and he's like, the last time I saw all the predecessors was when he brainwashed me. So maybe if he brainwashes me again, all of a sudden I'll be able to see them. And, thoughts start running through his mind, sure. Aizawa looks at All Might and Deku and is like, wow, you guys are really getting along a little bit too well. And he makes some comments that's like, this is kind of weird. You know, it's almost like you're having an affair, and All Might kind of says some things. It kind of makes it worse. It's pretty much just a big joke. It's cool and all, but you know what? We're moving on. Uh, Aizawa was like, Deku, go get ready. Deku's going to get ready, and it turns out everybody got new costumes, including Deku, and everybody's like, wow, cool. You see Invisible Girl, cold. I mean, I guess she has less clothes, because, I mean, she's invisible, and she wears clothes that's visible. And a lot of people, they added clothes for winter, especially Bakugo, whose entire costume revolves around him sweating because sweating is required for him to use his nitroglycerin sweat. And you know what? When you think about it, it all makes sense why it's so important to stay warm during those cold times for him. He is a much less weaker weaker hero in the winter, which is actually kind of funny when you think about it, because that means during the summer he's at his peak. He is pretty much, you could say, the explosion version of Escanor. Not really though. And Invisible Girl is cold. It's pretty much just a joke. We have a little bit back of a throwback to Hatsume, the girl that makes all the cool gadgets and stuff. And he's like, well, she made this stuff for me, and she fixed my glove so it works better. Ochako has a little flashback to when she fell on him, and she's like, oh my god, and she starts blushing and all that stuff. Random trash. Skipping this. Main point of the episode, Class B is here to fight. Aizawa shuts up Momoa. Momoa is that loudmouth that's like, wow, we're so much better than you. We outscored you in this and this and this. And they're like, you know what? We were going through so many crises we didn't even notice, man. We were, and he kind of like silently flexes on him. He's like, you know what? You're right. We've been through so much shit we didn't even notice. And I guess he's technically right, barely. And Shinso makes his big reveal. He wants to join the Heroicourse. Why? Because he wants to be a hero. And he's like, you know what? I don't see you guys as friends. You guys are the obstacles for me until I become a real hero. He's like, all right. So we're pretty much just continuing with that. And the combat training begins between Class 1A and 1B. To explain the rules, it's generally a 4-on-4, and pretty much it's heroes versus villains. And depending on who catches four of the other opposing team first, decides who's wins. So if four of your team gets captured, you lose. If 4 of the enemy team gets captured, they lose. There's 41 people in total, so what they do is they put Shinso on both teams if this 41 count is including Shinso. So they put Shinso on both teams for 1 round each. And in that round, one of the teams is going to have 5 people. And a lot of people, like, I believe Bakugo is like, wow, that's kind of a disadvantage because we have to carry him. And that means that if 4 of us get captured, and let's say, for instance, I'm the last one left, we still lose because we had dead weight on the team. He's like, yeah, you know what, you're right. And he's like, yeah, they have a super cute prison to capture them. I don't know, sure. And pretty much, Deku is just thinking about what Shinso's ability is, and he's like reminiscing about the time when Shinso mind tricked him, Jedi mind tricked him, and he saw all the predecessors. Uh, Pulls out his book and he starts writing. And the funny thing is, Ochaka's like, "Where did you get that book from?" And that's a pretty good question. I'm not gonna lie. And pretty much, yeah, if time runs out, the person with the most people wins. So I guess it technically could be an advantage to have the 5th extra member. And we have All Might at midnight here to observe. They make a little joke about them going out. And Class B apparently has been steadily improving. And Aizawa is like, well, I think it's Aizawa, says, Class 1A has kept going through crises, and they seem to get much better throughout each crisis. Class B tends to be like steadily improving, so let's see who wins. I don't know if you guys remember him, but Vlad King is actually the instructor of Class 1B, and he's super into it. He's like, he's pretty much Momoa. Did I say Momoa? I believe it is Momoa. Let me double check really quickly. It is Momoa, yeah. He's pretty much the Momoa leader. He's like, yeah, you know what? We're actually better than you. I can't wait. And he's super pumped for this because he wants to put them in their place. Uh, in the first match begins. So we have our 4 guys. Our 4 guys consist of Shinso. He is the extra. We have the dude that could, I think it's Koda. We have Kaminari, electric dude. We have Froki, and we have Hiroshima. And on the enemy team, all we know is we have Vine Girl so far. And all of a sudden, Jirota, he's pretty much a guy with a Ape Titan quirk that lets him transform into a mini Ape Titan at will. And he bashes in there with a air dude on his back, Kosei. And, that's their abilities. Kosei quickly puts 2 of them in air prisons, including, I think it's Koda, the dude that can talk to animals and stuff. And, you know, I think he also puts Shinso in one of those. And he starts beating the hell out of him with Jirota because he's just got raw strength. He's got super smell. He's got all these things. Pretty much all the, like, enhanced abilities. And he pretty much just starts beating down on them. And all of a sudden, he's got them to their backs. And he's like, Kosei is like, go, attack. And he's like, yeah, I got it. And he just freezes. It turns out Shinso's mask lets him change his voice. So he just fell for a really sneaky trick. And to be honest, this is a really great idea because Shinso's ability is hampered by the fact that somebody has to answer. If somebody just doesn't answer you, well, you never get it to work. Of course, you could like anger them into it, but some villains are too smart for that. So, this is a really smart workaround. It can throw a wrench into the plans of the villains if they are communicating and he just says something, they answer and they get frozen. But you know what I mean? They can get woken up. We've seen what happens with Deku before, and pretty much we just cut right there. So, overall, this episode was average, if not a little bit below the par for most shonen. For My Hero Academia, I would say this is about average. So I'd probably give this episode like a 4.5 or a 5 out of 10. But you know what? That's just me. For me, this episode wasn't too interesting. It was interesting enough to keep my attention. I didn't get bored. I had a little bit of like, ha ha ha, that's kind of funny moments, but I didn't really have anything that great. If you guys have different opinions than me, go ahead and let me know down in the comment section below. And you know what, guys? Don't die. It's bad for your health. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time in my episode 4 review of My Hero Academia Season 5. Should be coming out along with this one, and you know what? there'll be even another episode after that.